Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Podcast show. I do hope you are well and you are getting the results you want with your team. My name is Matt Haddock and I'm here to help you consider what you should do when it comes to some situations in reality. Yes, I'm a real manager who manages people. So it's not all about theory, it's about how you can practically approach issues in your workday that you are struggling to find a solution for. Now, we know in our worlds that we are going to get to a point where you'd expect some kind of promotion. Leadership normally leads on to more and more work. In this episode, we're going to look at what everyone at some point in their career will face, the promotion. That moment when somebody faces you and says, we want you. It's a point where they want a career move forward and hopefully you are going to get better and move forward with it. Most of us think that we're ready for that next step. And when it comes, most of the time, that's great, right? I mean, it's more money, it's more status, more influence. Finally, you get to sort those things out that you couldn't sort out before. But the truth, not every promotion is a step forward. Some are sideways. Some are survival tests. And some, if you're not careful, are setting you up to fail. So today, we're going to break it down. When a promotion is good news, when is it bad? The questions that you must ask before you say yes, and how to negotiate properly when it comes to the package and what your role entails. And of course, how to spot the sideways step that maybe is setting you up to fail. And at the end, how to say no without closing too many doors. So let's start. When the promotion is a good thing. Most of the time, it's going to be a great thing. You have worked hard to get where you are already. And if you can take that next step, why not? This sounds brilliant. I'm going to get promoted. I'm going forward. Let's start with the positives of what this is going to mean. A promotion is a good move when it gives you three things in my mind. The one, growth. And that's a big one. We all want to grow. We want to stretch ourselves. It's going to get new challenges. There's going to be new skills. There's going to be a new exposure for you. And hopefully that will then make you better. Anything that challenges you is going to make you better. It's going to grow you, isn't it? The second thing, support. You're not being thrown in blindly. You're looking for support when this happens. So there's a structure, a guidance, a realism of expectations that come with this promotion. So when you're looking at this idea of having these three things that they can give you, then support is another one. The next one is rewards. Look, we all know that we're there for a financial reward, but it's not always about financial rewards. Yes, finance will get you out the door. Yes, it will get you the mortgage paid, which is probably what we all want to do, or the rent paid. But it's sometimes more than that. It's about recognition. It's about influence. And it's about progression for yourself. If you tick those boxes, then you're ready to move forward. It's not just I'm going to get one of them, I'm going to get this great reward pack, because what will happen is the reward pack will soon wear out, and before you know it, the worst thing goes on. The things that you don't want in the background, the things that you are going to really regret taking that promotion because it's stretching you too far, you haven't got the support around you. But if you've got the growth, you've got the support, and the rewards are right for you, both intrinsic and extrinsic, then why not? So what about the other side? What's the flip of the coin? When is a promotion a bad thing? Well, here's where people can get caught out. There obviously are going to be some crossovers with when they're a good thing, but promotion becomes a bad move when you're solving someone else's problem, not progressing your own career. So they're putting you in to a position where they've considered it as a promotion, but realistically it's plugging a hole, which probably means you're going to be working excessive hours. You're going to put yourself under a lot of stress. And that is where you get this bad move, and watch out for things like the last person in that role burnt themselves out, because that could be what happened when you take it on. And at first you think not. I remember taking a role with a company. we won't mention which one, but it's quite a successful, big company. And there was people around me who worked in that place, and they said, if you go there, it will be a nightmare. They will use you, they will abuse you, you will be in a hell of a mess. And I just thought to myself, these are people with sour grapes. These are people who are not really wanting me to be successful. Within 6 months, they were right. Absolutely spot on. I was getting burnt out. The culture was wrong. I had to move, and that was the end of it for me. I lasted less than a year in there. So that's what you've got to look at. Who's in the last role? What happened to them? Did they get burnt out? Where have they gone? The team is underperforming with no clear reason why. So they're putting you in there, but they don't know why. Now, that could be seen as a positive. Maybe you're a big solver of problems. Maybe you're coming in there to fix it for them. But also, maybe it's the fact that they don't know they've been under resourcing that team. They've left it in a mess, and you're going to be set up to fail. And that's a promotion you don't really want. Their expectations can be vague, but they're always urgent. So they want something changing, but they're not sure, but they need it doing now. And you're going to be this magic bullet. Another company I was working with, the person who brought me in introduced me to the manager at the time, and this woman said, "Oh, you're the cavalry. You're here to save it." And I thought, whoa, that might sound great to your ego, but do you really want to be the cavalry on your own, try to fix this issue, not working with others, not trying to work out what we're wrong? It didn't work out well. At the end of the day, I was not going to fix every problem overnight. There is no wand, there's no magic bullet, there's nothing you can do that just makes it go away. So when they have these expectations that are vague, but they're urgent, that's a bit of a warning sign. And one thing you can hear, you hear phrases like, we just need a strong leader in there. Ooh, what does that mean? We need a strong leader in there. Does that mean someone who's just going to tell people what to do? Do they mean someone who's strong at leadership, as in developing people? Or do they need someone who's just going to start shouting a bit more, maybe a bit louder? That's where it can get a bit mixed up. And that's not always an opportunity for you when you say those things out loud. Sometimes, you're going to be put into a fire there. You're going to walk into a real mess. And don't get me wrong, as a leader, you want to be stretched. We said that as about being a positive, but you also want to make sure that the structures are there and they're going to support you, because you will not be able to function if those things aren't met. So the question you must ask then, what are the questions you should ask to make sure you can say, is this a good move for me or is it not? And before I say yes, just have the moment to slow it down. Have a moment to step away and just think, you don't win points by accepting it quickly. So, you can take some time here. You win by asking some smart questions. These are the things you need to ask. So here's some non-negotiables you probably need to think about. What does success look like in 12 months' time? That's a great question. I mean, you can say 6 months' time, depending. But, if they can't define that clearly, then that's a bit of a red flag. So treat it like an interview. It might not be an interview, especially if you're just getting offered the promotion, but treat it like an interview. So you start asking those questions. What does it look like in 6 months? What is success going to be like in 12 months? Ask that question. See what they say. See if they're vague, or do they have a plan? What are the biggest challenges this role is going to face right now is another great question. Again, another one you should use in an interview anyway. But no, listen carefully to what they tell you about this. What is their real work? What are they on about when they talk about these challenges? Is it something you're good at? Is it something you can fix? Again, take your time. If you jump into the wrong role, it can end your career. Really, really can. Another good question. Again, why did the last person leave? What's happened? Or is it a new role? Have they set it up specifically? But what happened? Is that a pattern? Has somebody left because of A, B and C? Or is it a promotion that person's moved on? Maybe the person talking to you is the person who was in that role. So that's good. What support will I have? Where is the support? Will the structures be right for me to be successful? If the last one failed because the structure isn't there and you're not changing the structure, it's going to be very unlikely that you're going to be able to be the magic fix. So think of it that way. And what authority is there? What do you have power more than your position? So if you look at the next stage up, what is the lines of command? What is the authority you're going to carry? Because if you do take a role and you don't have the clear remit to make changes, to make the right decisions, or even just to be accountable without any authority, then again, it's not particularly going to be easy for you. And of course, next point on how do you negotiate hard? If there's some ticks in the boxes above and you're happy with it, You want to make sure that you are getting what you want to be there. So, here's a mistake people sometimes make. They'll treat promotion offers like a favour. They'll think, oh my word, he's offering me that role. That's really nice of him. No, he's offering you a role because they want something fixing, they want something doing, they want someone in that position. They're not doing it as a favour. They want you to do something for them, and you need something from them. That makes sense, doesn't it? So let's have a negotiation. What are you going to negotiate on? Obviously, salary. Think about the salary. What is the base salary you've got? Now, it all depends where you are in your career. Some people are different. Some people would not particularly think that the salary is the biggest thing. Maybe they're into, extra holidays. You never know, do you? Some people like that. So think about that. Think about what you want and get yourself a walkaway number. Like any negotiation, if you don't hit that number, boom. Now, sometimes they don't want to offer you anything. Now, that is a red flag. If the package is going to be nothing, then why change? Why are you going for it? Well, it's progression. Maybe you don't want progression. But get the salary in your mind. Maybe do some research what that role pays. Plenty of web searches out there that'll tell you the average pay for X, Y, and Z. So go have a look on there. See about your area. You could invest if you wanted, but there's a lot of free info out there. Be aware of the internet. Obvious disclaimer. Things to look at. Bonus structure. Is a bonus structure the right thing for you? Then look at your team size. So more practical. What is a team size? What is the resources? What is the span of control you're going to have? What are the things that you can change within that? Or is it quite fixed? Look at the objectives. What are the clear objectives they're going to expect you to do? So what is that objectives? Where's the flexibility? This is huge when it comes to life balance. Where are those flexibility? Is it going to be more holidays? Is it going to be a better pension? You get to a point where you think, pension would be good, especially some companies with poor pensions. Is there a different pension? What you'll normally find, little inside secret here, is the higher up in the organisation, the different structures they'll have for bonuses, for healthcare, for pensions, for instance, for even car allowances. All these things are well negotiable in your mindset before you do it. You're not there to be difficult. You're just being professional. You expect to pay the right level for the right person. If they're talking about promoting you, taking on responsibility, taking on accountability, making it easier for them, hitting the goals that they need, which makes them look good. Don't forget that. They've got to make sure that they're doing it right. So just because, X got this, don't think of that as being the ceiling. You negotiate hard at this point, because once you say yes, you're there and you've set the baseline. So you're not going to move it much more. So it's a good time to really go for it, especially if you're in a position of them approaching you. How do you look for the setup? So we talked about a setup promotion. What do I mean by that? This is a promotion that's designed intentionally, or maybe not intentionally, maybe not intentionally, but there's a point of failure there. Watch out for those warning signs. I mean, some of them were mentioned earlier about the red flags, but, look out for no clear plan. So if there's no clear plan, it's just go in and fix it. That's a hard strategy. That's going to be short-termism that's going to burn you out, and even if you're successful, are you going to be able to keep it longer term, or is it just going to be short-term wins? Unrealistic timeline. So if they're expecting you to do it in a week, look, no one can do that. Even 3 months, if you're making big changes, is hard. Get to 6, 8, 12, yeah, of course you can do it, but be careful not to commit too early to say you can do something that ends up failing. That lack of backing, so be aware of the lack of backing. Where is it aligned to? Are you going to be stuck in the middle? Are you just going to be the henchman, for instance, for someone, a hench person who's just going to cut out jobs? You're going to be the one who comes in with the axe. A lot of time when you're working as I have as a consultant, that's what you end up doing, unfortunately. You end up restructuring, making redundancies. Tough part of the gig. If you're going to take it as a promotion, you've got to make sure you're building the right relationships. And if they want you to just go and do a job on a number of people, or make some big changes out in restructures, just make sure you know that up front. You may be happy with that. Are you their last hope? Wow, sounds a bit dramatic, but it also sounds flattering, doesn't it? If someone said to me, "Oh, you're the last great hope," wow. But what does that mean if you fail? Because does that mean your career's over if you're the last hope and no one else can fill it? Does the company shut? That's a bit extreme, but think of it here. Look at cultural issues that no one is really addressing. Is there a lot of issues around the place that realistically this person who is asking you to go do that job for them has really not looked at themselves and left you in a position that they need you in there to fill a gap because the culture's wrong and they're not addressing it? Maybe the person who's trying to promote you Is a problem in the culture? I've been in companies where you have these really strong characters who, when they leave, they've been the bully, they've been this, that and other, and you think, wow. And you're holding a lot of people back. So be aware that if that person's promoting you, you're going with them on a journey. How stable are they? If they go, does that leave you in a position because you're their right-hand person? Be aware of it. So you've got to do it. You don't want to be stepping into a trap. And I'm not saying that there is a lot of this, but it's just being aware of it. Most of it's unintentional, but just do your due diligence like you would be with anything. If you're going for a new job in any other company, you do your research on the company before you get there, wouldn't you? You'd ask the questions about its stability, its longevity, its position. Is it going to be there? Those are the questions you need to ask if there's something going up there. Now, with every promotion, there's expected that you're going to be able to do an extra one. You're not going to be a 9 till 5 person a lot of the times. You'll be on call a lot. You're going to be on phone calls a lot. You might be expected to travel more. So look at that when it comes to your life balance. Is there some hidden costs in there? People don't talk about that enough. The promotion can often have those unexpected and unspoken about expectations. There's more hours, there's more pressure. Yeah, okay. There's more mental load. You're always thinking about it. I find myself in the middle of the night sometimes thinking about work. Oh, have I done this? Have I done that? And sometimes that's refreshing because it comes out and you think, oh yeah, I can see that. Brilliant, I can do it. Other times you find it hard to switch off. Do you have to ask yourselves, what will this do to my time away from work? What energy will I have left for my family? Will my family life suffer? You've got a lot of young children maybe, or demands outside. Can you do both? And ultimately, will it affect your health? Because there's no point in taking promotion that's going to make you ill. We looked at promoting some people in a company I worked for. And it was clear, if we did that, then that person might struggle, mentally. And there's no point in doing that. We didn't want to give that guy that chance, even though he probably would have said yes because he were a nice guy. You don't want to do that because that's going to really mess him up if it goes wrong. And a title or nothing like that is worth burning yourself out. If the role pays you $1 million, which sounds great, but you're going to have to sacrifice so much. Is it worth it? Don't sacrifice the time you've got for the paycheck that you might get. Just think of it that way. It could be a time where you negotiate hard, but make sure you're negotiating with the fact that these changes you can do. You are going to do more hours. You are going to have more pressure. Is it something you can take on? Or is it something you need to negotiate hard on or even say no to, which we'll get onto in a minute? Are you being sold that dream? Sometimes promotions are a beautiful package. You think that's brilliant. They've got this big vision, they've got the big promises, they've got the big language, and they've got this big underneath thing that's great. Everything's going to be good. But sometimes there's a little substance to it. It sounds too good. And there's always that in there. If it sounds too good to be true, guess what? It probably is. So have a think about that. Ask for some specifics. As we said before, ask for the proof, ask for the structure, do all that, because you can get sold this dream, and a dream will then lead to a nightmare if you're not careful. And without that, if you do say the no, what will happen? So you've got to think a little bit further forward. Life is sometimes a game of chess, isn't it? So if you say no to this promotion and they've come to you specifically, what will happen? Will it burn the bridges? Now, this is really important, and I can't guarantee this isn't. If you say no, you might get away. People might just say, well, that's fair enough. But say no, it shouldn't mean shutting doors, but it can. So be aware of that. And I'm not saying you have to say yes, because I've just said don't say yes to everything. But you've got to make sure that you remember, if you're going to say no, how do you say it? How do you approach it? Have a word, think about your language, have some practice. If you've really done the numbers, done the due diligence, you've asked all those good questions, and you think, no, it's not for me, what do? You could always say, look, I really appreciate the opportunity, and it means a lot to be considered, but look, right now, I want to make sure I can deliver to the highest to you, and I think I would take that role on, and I'd try my best, but I wouldn't be the right fit for you at the moment. I do want to keep working with you, I do want to keep growing, but at the minute, and I'm not there. I'd love to look at future opportunities, and he'll help me mentor to get there, but I don't think I'm strong enough, and I really appreciate what you're saying, and I love what you've done. I want to do a next step, but I'm just not right there. I'm not ready there. You're being open and honest. If you do have specific family, commitments or other commitments, you can explain that and say, I'd like to support the other person as much as I can. I'll come and do extra with that person who you get to the job, but I'm not that person for you. If I got offered a job in, I don't know, a technical role that needed something deeper than what I've got, I think I'd have the confidence to say, that ain't for me. Probably because I don't have the knowledge, but also it might bore me. And if I'm not interested, in a couple of months, I want to go out. So have a look at that. It's just that professionalism. It's the respect that you're giving. It's looking at future with them, but it's not rejecting growth. It's accepting you're not there. You want to grow. You want to get better. It's all about timings for you. And in this instance, it won't. So that's that's what I think in my mind you should be doing if you get offered those promotions. Let's just have a little bit of a recap. A promotion isn't automatically a win. It's only a win if it sets you up to succeed. So you've got to ask those questions. You've got to negotiate properly. You've got to protect your time and energy. And don't be afraid to walk away from the wrong opportunity, because the right promotion will challenge you, will support you, will move you forward. It's not just a job title. It's the right thing to do. And the right thing you need to do is send me some feedback on the show. So put it wherever you get this podcast or the video of this podcast from. You can always message me at managermattpodcast@gmail.com. Anything like that, just send us a message. We can have a conversation about new or old shows, anything like that, because I think feedback's a massive gift. Love to learn from that and love to move it forward. And of course, if you can share this show with others, that'd be brilliant. Or share it with someone you think would appreciate the idea of growth, the idea of mindset, the idea of being a better manager. Well, that's it for Manager Matt this week. Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.